Hi, guys. Welcome to our RLA Students Podcast. This week, we are joined by a very special guest, Patrick. He is Osman's friend and he lives in Germany. So, Patrick, welcome to the podcast. If you could share just a little bit about yourself and how it is living out there in Germany.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. And you can call me Pat, so don't worry about it. It's a little informal. Coming out from where Osman and I both grew up, probably all of us, it wasn't common to be like, my first time on a plane was on a trip to Hawaii one time with my friend, but then my next trip was to my college visit. So like I didn't get out of LA very often. I didn't even think I'd be going to school in Oregon, and then I go from Oregon to, traveling to almost going to the Canadian Football League, and then next thing you know, then I'm traveling here, and then, I decided, why not? One of my coaches was like, you should do it. Coach Anderson, was one. he was one of the guys that was like, you know what? I can't let you do this. I can't let you just go into the military because you feel like you don't have a plan and you don't know where else to go, and I just don't want to be. I think all of us have this need or this void to feel to be like, I want to make an impact on the world, that I just don't want to leave this world with a whimper. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to make an impact. And so he said, you know what, let's try to get you something. And I ended up going to Germany to play football for a little while.
Wow.
And it was one of those things where I was like, why I'm out here? And the second year I got noticed, and it was one of those things where this can't be happening. Like I was better. Like I feel like I was ready when I came out of college, and now they found me a few years later. So I feel like, never giving up on what you're doing is always the best way to go. And I think if it wasn't for Coach Anderson in the beginning, when he stopped me from working at PetSmart, he stopped me and was like, yeah, go back. So let's do it. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. You're muted. She's muted.
She's muted.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Pat, do you mind if we ask you, how do you know Osman, or how do you two connect?
Osman, you want to go first, or should I go first?
I'll go first. I'll take it way back to Coach Satala days. So in middle school is kind of when I met Patrick. We were part of the basketball team there, and I think till the day, there's not going to be a coach that stands out as Satala. His program, his style, I loved it. I fell in love with it, and dude, that team, we were really good as eighth graders. I mean, I remember it was all defense, all running, conditioning. I don't think we didn't touch a ball like the weeks like practicing, and we just, I don't know, we created this bond with that team. I still talk to like almost like most of the team, the starting five. I think I talk to most of them still to the day.
Ruben.
And I remember the Cavs. So from that team, Coach Satala, he called a couple guys to go play on his like little club,
traveling team
that he had. And man, that team was crazy. Like the demand and like the work ethic. Well, because they were practicing and training to become like the next level, to college ball.
Yeah.
We were in middle school. Remember, we were not even in high school yet. And this guy's trained, like we go, and he introduces us to like college training. So I remember Patrick. I remember one morning I was asleep, and I remember Patrick and them coming to wake me up, to pick me up to go play in a tournament. A lot of memories. With that team, with the Cavs. That's how we started, and just sports has kept us kind of together. And he could probably tell you more about later on in high school and stuff. But middle school was where I first met Patrick, and yeah, it was just a healthy competition, I would say. Always.
Because he always wanted. Osmond wanted to always be the best. He was like, "Oh, I can do this. I can do this." Like we had this competition, but I was more of a finesse guy. Osmond was, "I'm gonna run you over and I'm gonna get the foul." So, but like from middle school on, I wasn't known. Like I was known as, for a lack of better words, I was known for being smart and playing basketball. Like that's all I really did, and that's all they really. Everybody knows, man. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I was the guy with the big red backpack with 5 books in the bag that probably weighed as much as me. Now, and I played the trumpet. You know what I mean? And I played, and that's how we got to know each other. But it really cemented our relationship, Osmond and I, when we went to freshman basketball in Franklin, and we went undefeated. You know what I mean? We played Eagle Rock, we played everybody, and we went undefeated. And there was, Tom, you know what I mean? Everybody was on there. It was literally, we're over here singing on the No Mountain High, you know what I mean? We're singing No Mountain Low. We was always singing on the bus, and it was a great experience, and I'll never forget those times because it was worth it. Like it was one of those things where on that they'd be like, "Oh, who's number?" If I see number five in my head doesn't go straight to Reggie Bush, it goes to Osmond. You know what I mean? So
For real. Yeah, same here. Patrick, always a playmaker, Patrick. Yeah, let's get the ball in Patrick's hands. And that freshman team was, oh my God, undefeated, bro. There was no playoff system set for us, or else we would have taken it for sure. But yeah, that team was beast.
Yeah.
That's good. So you're like big basketball guys. You said you were playing football in Germany.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll give you a quick rundown of how that started. And I think another reason why Osmond and I are so close is because we obviously both know that God took a big part in our lives. Like there was times Osmond like, "Oh, Patrick, you want to go play basketball?" Nah, man, I got choir practice. I can't or like there was a Bible study school class at the school at Franklin, you know what I mean? That was started and I was in there and, like it really propelled me to keep my mind set on doing the right thing because you can easily get sidetracked where we come from. You know what I mean? We didn't let the Black versus Mexican wars that went on when we went to school affect Osmond and I, because that was tough. Yeah. I talk about the times I almost got jumped in the bathroom. I was like, "Yeah, this doesn't feel right. I think I'm done. I can wait." Yeah. And so I ended up playing football because someone, we all know who it is, told me I couldn't and called me a name. He called me out of my name. We all know who it is, and it just took off from there. From 10th grade, I just made football. It was just something that came natural not to want to get hit. So I catch the ball and run. Mm-hmm. And I've been playing football, and it just led me to Germany, where I guess basketball is my first love, and then football turned out to be a passion of mine. And it took me took me around the world. I've been to Denmark. I've been to Austria. I've been to Germany. I mean, I've been to Prague, Czech Republic. I've been to Poland. Man. I've been to the Netherlands. I've been to Portugal. I've been to Spain. I've been and how many people can really say that? I've been, and I know I'm forgetting a few, but at the same time, football took me all over the world. You know what I mean? It took a toll on me. I tore my Achilles, but at the same time, it gave me my daughter. My daughter speaks German and English, and she's only 3. She's, and she's just, oh man, she's the light of the world. Yeah. So
Kids come and change your life, definitely. So living or visiting so many places out there in the world, Patrick, living, I think you going to school, I think Oregon a little bit, and Germany and getting raised up. So for those of you guys that don't know, me and Patrick kind of grew up in Highland Park. Highland Park is a little town, you could say, by Pasadena, between the Dodger Stadium and Pasadena. Back in the day, it was rough. It was rough. There was a battle of avenues, Highland Park, and we're kind of
Yeah.
in between there, right? And very gang. Now I live in South Central. Trust me, South Central, or at least the block I live in, is nothing compared to the block 50 and Monte Vista, Highland Park. I
Well, for sure.
stuff, yeah. And but so living in these different places, Patrick, what can you say is the difference, or what has stood out to you in the way people treat you, let's say in Highland Park compared to in Germany, or maybe from Highland Park to Oregon to Germany? What stands out about how people treat you, or just kind of just vibe with you?
Okay. I'll just. That's a delicate question right there, but I'll say it like this. I grew up this way, reading the Bible. Haven't like actually I was forced in this sense, because before I could do anything, it was come home, read this Bible, and recite these three, like, tell me what you learned from this, like tell me what happened, and then tell me what you learned and what are the lessons that they learned in this. Sometimes I was lucky and there was nothing in there. It wasn't like, not saying there was nothing, but there was no difficult questions. And then I'd get unlucky, and then I'd have to recite everything. Now with that, I was taught to be very well mannered and talk this way, so that when you hear me on the phone, like you wouldn't, the first thing that comes to mind when you hear Patrick Donahue isn't, black guy. Like, that's probably why my background check comes through so fast, So, like, when I talk to people, I carry myself in a way that is not accustomed to where I come from. And so, with that being said, you look at me or you see me on the field, and then you talk to me off the field, I'm a totally different person than you would expect. And when I went to college, and when I kept that persona, and I learned to get out of that, because you just don't need to. There's no thugs up there in Oregon like that. You know what I mean? And there sure as heck aren't any up in Germany. Now, by the way people treat me, though, if your perception is reality. Right. So if you see this black guy with a beard and earrings and a hat and a baseball cap, you know what I mean? You're going to automatically be like, interesting, and less likely to trust that person. But if I had a suit and tie on, then it'd be different. Like Osmond, I always catch Osmond on the street, and he always had slacks on and suit and tie. And I'm like, what's going on? But the way they treat me in Germany, I feel like this. Here in the States, I still feel like they treat us like 3/5 of a person. Mm-hmm. When I'm in the States, I'm a whole person no matter what. Like, I'm still a man no matter what. There's no degrading in the sense of, they'll keep it inside if they don't like you, but they're not gonna. And here in the States, like, how many times I've been stopped and frisked, and then I have to tell them who I am. Like, tell them who I am, I don't mean like, oh, you know who I am. I'm saying, hey, my name is Patrick Donahue. I go to Franklin High School. I have this kind of GPA. I have a scholarship to this school, this school, and this school. My mom lives down the street. My friend lives here. I have to give all this before while they're putting me in handcuffs for no reason. So, and then they end up like, oh, okay, let's get this guy home, And when Osmond, you said that times have changed where we live, I was off limits. They're like, yo, this guy's going places. He's doing the right things. he's off limits. Nobody really messed with me unless they didn't really know if I if I was wearing some wrong colors or something. But I usually wasn't. So they knew like, okay, when Pat's going on the dash, taking the dash down the hill, like he's off limit. Don't mess with him. He don't mess with nobody. Don't mess with him. And so I was blessed in that way because I grew up down there. It's different. So the American dream for me isn't in America. It's been in Germany because healthcare is a load off your shoulders. Like I can go get my inhaler for $5. You know, I can get because my job pays for my insurance, but I mean obviously I work now. If I have to take time off to take care of my mother or something, I don't have to worry about losing my job.
Wow.
You have a kid, you don't have to go back to work for 2-3 years and you're still getting paid.
Wow.
And maybe this is me putting this out into the world and let everybody know. I would have learned German a long time ago if I would have known that you can go to school in Germany for $200 a semester.
Wow.
200 if you know German. So all you people out there, you're worried about school.
Learning German.
Learn German.
Man.
Yeah.
Crazy. I hear it's thousands of dollars per semester.
Yeah.
Thousands.
For what? If anything, we need to stop putting our money into college and start putting our money into trade school. Because I know people like John Love, he's worked his butt off and he went to a trade school and now he's close to completing his dream of being a foreman in a couple of years. You know what I mean? But did he go to college? No. Why? Because college is just a distraction. Because there's a lot of stuff in there that you don't really need. I didn't drink when I was playing football. I was in college. I was the guy that people called for rides. Now, on St. Patrick's Day, I hung out with my friends. But other than that, there was no. I challenge all people in general to ask yourself before you do something: is this going to help me achieve my goal? Is this going to get me to where I want to go? That's it. So
that's good.
That's really good.
That's good, guys. And remember, our audience is high school, middle schools. We're not saying not to go to college. We're saying
no. I didn't say that.
We're saying stop and really think about what you want, your goals, your dreams, and choose the best path.
Consider all your options.
Yeah, consider all your options.
Consider all your options.
Go to Germany.
I'm just saying there's more ways than everybody's saying because you're gonna put yourself in debt if money is an issue. There's other ways. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't go to college. I went to college. I still tell people get your education. That has nothing to do with that. But if for those of us that aren't playing football, that aren't playing sports, that don't have the finances, you know what I mean? You're already in the hole. There's better ways. There's other ways. Not better, but there's other ways. My way works for me. This way works for you. And I'm just saying there's other options out there. Now, if you still want to go to school, learn German, and you can go to school for 200 euros a month. I mean, not a month, a semester for every 3.5. So I am not saying don't go to college.
That's good, Pat. I wanted to touch on another. It could be a delicate question. So we're gonna touch on your perspective a lot because being someone who's grown up in LA but now lives in Germany, we want to touch on your perspective with a couple of the things that have been going on in our country, in your home, with the whole Black Lives Matter peaceful protest. I just want to hear your take on it. How do you feel about it? What is the difference that you see between the response in Germany or the response around the people there and the family back home? The responses, how is that going?
I think I got to start off by saying I do not condemn or condone the riots. I'll put it that way because there's only who am I? Because to say, oh, that's wrong, that's right. I'm not for it, but at the same time, there's a lot of moving pieces, and when I think Tupac said it best when he's like, "Yo, you got food in there, and I'm hungry." First, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna knock on the door and say, please let me in. I'm hungry. Can you feed me? And, you know, and you don't open the door. Now it's, hey, knocking on the door. Hey, I'm hungry. Can you please come outside and feed me? At next thing you know, you're knocking like, yo, let me in, you know? And then it's after that, and your voice isn't heard. The next thing you're doing is I'm knocking down the door. Give me your food. And so, and he said, I paraphrased it, but that's exactly what he's saying. And I feel for them. Are there better ways to handle it? In some situations, I think is it a little overboard, but I don't think it's all just one race out there doing these things. But I empathize with them. I feel it. I feel it. Everybody has that boiling point, and I think right now in our country, this is what it is right here. And you have a lot of people feeling a lot of type of ways, and they're tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, there you go.
And so in Germany, they march there too, you know, because it happens there too. But they have stricter gun laws, and not so many people are getting killed. But at the same time, they're being harassed and they're having charges put on them. We're more likely to be stopped. No, you don't. When I go through the border of Austria back to Germany, they always check mine. And then they check the people around me first. They see me and their eyes go straight to me, and they're like, he possibly doesn't belong here. So that's already like, okay, get it. And sometimes I'll be asleep. Before they can even say anything, I lift my passport up with my German residency card, and I just say, here you go. And then they tell us they're about to walk away, and the other guy says, hold up, we know the law. So he says, oh, check everybody else too. So this is the way it is. But I do feel safer when my heart doesn't start racing when a cop is going to pull me over. I've never been pulled over in Germany. I mean, I went through a customs check, but I've never been pulled over in Germany, you know? So I've been lucky that way. I mean, they do eye us, you know, see if we get jittery or something like that. But the cops fault. They go to school longer. That's another thing. They go to school longer. Like you have to go it's like something like 3.5 years in Germany. 3.5 years in Germany. And there's a lot of people that feel a lot of different ways about blacks and stuff, and they hold it in, but it really comes out in their actions, when they're not thinking. So if I have a problem with cursing, and I'm not, and I have to constantly think about not cursing, but I have a moment where I'm just having fun and it comes out, right? And so that's how people are in Germany. Like sometimes they really, oh, I shouldn't have said that, you know, and they at least they know they're wrong and they're conscious of it. So, and I'm not sick. So yeah, I mean,
they're like you said, they're trying to.
Yeah,
they're trying, you know, and I feel like the reason why Germany is, you don't see, I don't see Jews riding through the streets or anything like that, because Germany has accepted their past, and I've tried to make up for it and paid reparations, and there's a difference between that, you know, and the states keep trying to push stuff under the rug. Guess what? It's just like when you clean in your room, you keep pushing stuff under the bed. At some point, your bed is going to start lifting up because you put so much stuff underneath your bed. You can't sweep it underneath the rug like that and expect you're going to have to deal with it sometime or later. And it's just like, it's life, man. And you, Wounded Knee, Black Wall Street, you can't sweep these things under the rug. Nobody's been paid. Like when I see my neighbor and he's like, oh, my great grandmother passed this down to me. We don't have those same opportunities because they've taken our stuff. Later on, we don't have nothing to pass down. You see all these auctioneer shows. Oh, this is a gun from World War, II, and this is, oh, my great grandfather fought in this war, and this awesome. How much is it worth? Oh, it's worth $250,000. We don't have those same opportunities because we were robbed of our stuff. No land, no nothing. We try to start our own stuff, Black Wall Street, what they do? 3 banks, 5 movie theaters. We had our own schools. We had our own fire department, our own police department, and they came and burned it down. Talk about try to raise your, if my grandfather did it, your grandfather could do it. Raise yourself up by your own 2 bootstraps. We tried. You saw us being successful, and then you took it away. So that's how I feel. I feel like Germany handles their stuff much better. I think it comes with a respect thing. If you see somebody as a whole man and not 3/5 of a man, like the Confederate flag represents, then you're more likely to treat that person like a human and not like less than a human.
Mm-hmm. That's so key. That's so good.
You're still muted.
Yeah, you're still muted.
That's happening. I'm so sorry. So I know you mentioned that it's different in Germany versus here. So I just wanted to ask you, if it's not too uncomfortable for you to answer, what was your first experience with discrimination or racism in America versus Germany, and was your response different?
There's plenty growing up, people not wanting me to play with their kids, that type of stuff. But I feel like the one that I can relate with Osmond about is probably in 5th grade when I came back. I was in foster care for like 2 years, and then I came back to my mom, and my mom had moved to San Pasqual, and I got to that school, and I was the only Black kid in my class, and they placed me in the gifted class because of my scores. And so this class was composed of like 4th and 5th graders. So I came in halfway through the 5th grade year, and these guys are my friends now. I still know them on Facebook. You know what I mean? But they gave me a real hard time, Blackie this, and I tried to fit in and play Dragon Ball Z, but I was always Frieza, and I was fighting alone. So it was one of those things where it was rough, and I actually got in a lot of fights because I didn't take it from nobody. And when we played basketball, it was me versus all of them, and I still won. But I was in the principal's office so often in that 5th grade year, where it was just, Patrick, Blacktrick, whatever, you know what I mean? It's just name calling, and sometimes, it'll boil over, and I'm not going to take that. Like, that's not how my mom raised me. And I'm coming from a situation where I got a lot of built up anger, and I was not the one. So when it comes down to it, 5th grade was one of where I can remember so vividly coming in and being isolated. It is one of those things that it made me. I tell my daughter all the time. I tell her, I want you to defend yourself. I tell her this, like, she had a problem with pushing kids, and I told her mom though. I said, listen. I said, what did she do? What happened? Well, this kid took her bike. I said, did that kid ask? No, the kid didn't ask. I said, okay. I talked to Maya. I tell her, listen, you can ask for your bike back, and they don't get it back. Fighting is not the answer, but I want you to defend yourself. If they hurt you, then you have to defend yourself and protect yourself. But you don't need to go around pushing people and biting people. You can come to me or your mom, and we can handle it that way. I did not handle it that way in 5th grade. I walked around with a scowl on my face, like there was nobody would really. And Osmond knows this for a fact. We walked down the halls like, oh, you don't talk to that dude. Like, that dude don't want to talk. He's just focused, So I feel like that was a hard time, 5th grade, moving into a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood where I was the only Black kid on the street, and then Alonzo. So, but yeah. So that was a really good question, Heidi.
That's crazy you say that, because I'm just thinking, like, man, you in 5th grade to where you at now, like, man, like what you went through as a kid, and I think a lot of our middle school and high school students could probably connect. it could affect you into kind of like you say, isolating, and you could become violent, and then one mistake or two mistakes, and your whole life is kind of messed up because of that action you took. Because and people just see the action, right? They don't see before what you're experiencing. So just hearing you out, I see that you come a long way, Patrick. We want to close it out, but before, I want to ask you. Because I know, and I think us we had a connection from the beginning because of our faith. Because I knew
Yep.
you go to church. Because I knew, and I remember when you were thinking of going to the military. What I told you, I still have the messages, and
I know.
uh, you know, uh,
Yeah.
but having a relationship with Jesus, having that faith in Him. How has that helped you become the man that you are? Get through that experience you told me once you went back from your foster home to your home, San Pasqual. How did having that faith, knowing about God, about Jesus, how did that help you become or be where you're at now?
Yeah. I feel like m- first off, great question, and I'm glad you asked that. I put it like this: most situations you need somebody to go to talk about these situations, but with God, you're never alone. You know what I mean? You have somebody always to talk to, and I feel like me knowing that I wasn't alone, even though I physically was alone in a lot of situations that nobody could help me or nobody would help me with, I was able to go back to that. Now, I think it's really important. Like my daughter prays before we eat. You know what I mean? I sing "This Little Light of Mine." You know what I mean to her. We It's important to instill that in kids young because then they have something. They have guidelines and how to keep them on track when they feel lost and when they feel alone. And how many of us have had problems where we had a bad test and we don't want to talk about it with anybody else, but we can pray on it, right? Now, I feel like I tell people this all the time. I said I wouldn't be anywhere without the church because this might be a sensitive subject, but put it this way: you're a recovering. Let's just say you have a problem with drinking Gatorade. Okay, now there's an AA meeting for people that have a problem drinking too much Gatorade. Now, if you go to that every week, you're reminded of, okay, I can do this. You go there every week to this. Now you miss a week, you're more likely to have a slip up, right? Now, going to church is the same thing because I'm around people that are like-minded, that are also trying to walk the same path that I'm trying to walk, and so it reminds me of how it feels. And when you miss out on church that week, it's not the same. I just sometimes if I miss church, like I was like, oh man, I really don't feel the same because you're not filling up your cup you know what I mean? If you come back, you fill your cup up again. Okay, now it's almost empty. Like you keep drinking from that cup because the world tests you. You know what I mean? The devil tests you. Like you have tempting moments. I could have been doing a lot of crazy things when I was young, but I kept myself in my Jesus AA meetings, and I was there to make sure that I had people that had my back. So that's how I looked at it. And when my pastor died, Bill, and he was Bill Pyle, it was hard on me. It was so hard, and I didn't go to church for a while. And I saw after that moment, like I was doing things that I normally wouldn't do. I still had the lessons that he instilled in me, but I was a little more open to other things that I normally wouldn't be. Church was never the same after that, but I still tried my best to go, and I was a youth pastor, so so that was kind of cool. So when he was there, so
When you mentioned about being young, Proverbs 22:6 came to mind. It says, "Start children off the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it." I think our middle school students, high school students, they're blessed to have family that care about instructing them and guiding them in the right path. And a ministry like ours, right? That puts content out there, just trying to help with that relationship, trying to, set a path and so they could follow. Yeah, I don't know if Heidi or Patrick, if Heidi or Andy has any other words just to.
Yeah, I just want to say, Pat, thank you so much for your time. I know the time zones are different, so just thank you so much for having the time to be with us. And I wanted to ask you if you had any last words for our students, our ministry, middle school and high school students, anything motivational, maybe just a Bible verse, anything that you have.
I think I have two. All right.
Okay.
So start fast, finish strong. Finish everything you do, no matter what. It'll carry you over everything into the rest of your life. If you start quitting, it's gonna become a habit, and habits are hard to break. So make sure that you start and keep habits, make habits that are gonna help you later on in life. And now I'll say this is from my late coach, Coach Craig Howard. Find your phrase, find something that keeps you motivated. Mine is, I'm blessed and highly favored. That's what I tell myself in moments of despair, or if something's eating me up. I'm blessed and highly favored. I shouldn't be here. Now, Coach Howard said character, strength, and honor, right? Character, to do the right things when no one's looking and when no one's around. Strength, to make sure that you're holding your people, your family accountable, because if no one's holding you accountable, then you're going to run rampant. If I do something wrong and nobody tells me, then I'm going to keep doing it wrong. But have the strength to have a different opinion that's not maybe popular, and honor your parents and your family and God with everything you do. And I feel like if you do that, then you'll find yourself further ahead than other people that aren't holding themselves to their. Have your core values. Core values are important. So
awesome. Thank you, Pat. Thank you for the time. I think you're coaching. Are you coaching, or you're looking into coaching out there?
Oh, yeah. Right now I'm head coach of the Bad Mergentheim Wolfpack. The plan was. That was not the plan to start. I woke up one morning and all of a sudden it was in the newspaper that I was head coach. So I guess I walked into it. Yeah. Hey, Germany, right? So I just wanted to give a shout out to my mom and my sisters and my whole family. I love you guys. Thank you for always supporting me. There's somebody in college that he started a new line called Land of Nasty, and it's pretty cool. You know what I mean? So go check him out. I also have people in Germany that I like. I'm an ambassador for this brand, K Noah, and I don't have any of it on right now because I wore it recently. I'm not into wearing dirty clothes, but yeah. So go check it out. It's on my Instagram. Just if you want some inspiration, go to my Instagram and you'll see, you know what I mean? Just
we'll put it on our link.
Put it in there. I just want to, I continue giving positive energy. I thank you guys, Osman, Andy, Heidi. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys.
For sure. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, man. Have a good one, Patrick.
Thank you.
All right. Live it.
Okay.